Anatoly writes to me. He says, "Hey, Paul, at some point I felt like you're not promoting your book, the Aurora Project, but you're starting a new religion." Well, okay. Your comments about the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Now, that could apply to anything, and it was done rather effectively throughout history. I'm glad you cleared it up in one of the later episodes by saying it is the work of fiction and your imagination. I am hoping in your book you'll provide your theory on what happened to the Eemian people and their possible civilization, even though it is very unlikely that any large organized society existed then. Not sure I agree with you, Anatoly. People hunted wild animals and collected plants and mushrooms, never staying long in one place. Hunter-gatherers. But let's say they did settle down, planted crops, domesticated animals, formed societies. Where did they all go? Did the climate change get them? The Earth's cooling period destroy them? Well, a quick answer, and this is a guess, well, more than a guess, they survived. We are their ancestors. We know they survived. Where did they go? They went wherever they had to, warmer climates. When the warming came, they went to cooler climates. And how many of them survived? Well, we can tell a little bit. We know by fossil records of the few fossils that we have of the Eemian period 100,000 years ago, that there were quite a few anthropologically identical humans, Homo sapiens, you and me, that were around during the good times, during the Eemian warming period, like we have today during the Holocene. There were quite a few. It's estimated in the millions of them running around the Earth doing whatever they did. When the Great Warming came and things got really bad, we can imagine what happened. We know that, for instance, I believe they were into agriculture. They almost had to have that many people running around by our best guesses. You have to have some form of agriculture. I don't think hunter-gatherers can get to be that big. So when we're 2 or 3 degrees centigrade warmer and the poles start to melt, and do melt, as they did during the Eemian, you're going to find agriculture is nearly impossible. So many of them probably just died out, and they went back to being hunter-gatherers. Whatever happened to them, and whatever state they were in, we know they existed, we know they were here, and we know that we are their ancestors. Your thing about religion, you know, there are hundreds of religions. There are major religions that we all know about today, and there are many smaller religions. Throughout time, there have been various stages for thousands of years of religion, and religion is a way of faith, of believing in a story and having that story guide your life. So if you are a Christian, you have a story about Jesus and God and the beginnings of man that you very much believe in, and it guides your life. If you're a Buddhist, which isn't really a religion, but let's say you believe in Muhammad, there's a very different story there, and it too guides your life. And throughout time, excuse me, there have been tons of religions that people invested their lives, and it guided everything about their day-to-day existence. And I think religions are very powerful, I think they're very effective, and I think they are great, because we as human beings need something to believe in, something to guide us. And whatever your religion may be, even if it's a religion of an agnostic in terms of all of that, but you believe in the science, whatever it is, you have a belief system that moves down the road in a certain manner, and it helps guide your life. The Eemians, no doubt, had their own religious beliefs. whether they were simple hunter-gatherers, as many suspect, because we don't have evidence that they're not, which is a little bit silly. Just because we don't see evidence doesn't mean it didn't exist. It's much more likely and logical that with that many people running around in exactly the same conditions that we have today, and exactly the same people with the same mental capacity, that they too didn't see the spark of agriculture, domesticating animals, all the things that we did that led up to here, me talking to you on an iPhone. It just doesn't make sense to me that they wouldn't. I don't know the difference between the two. So anyway, I'm rambling off on the subject, but I appreciate your comment and your question, and I look forward to everybody reading a copy of the Aurora Project. I will say that we'll talk about that tomorrow. We did find a narrator, and I have some good news that I will share with you tomorrow. Okay, thanks.